friends, welcome back to Grow with Miss Nancy. I'm so glad you're here this Sunday. If you remember, last week we talked about Abram and how God talked to Abram and said, I want you to come away from your family and your friends and the place where you grew up and go to a new place because I want to bless you greatly and make a great nation from you. But Abram didn't have any children. How was he going to do that? You know, Abram was 75 years old when God asked him to come away. That's the same age as my husband. My husband's a grandpa. Abram didn't even have any kids. But God was promising and Abram was believing. That trust is really important. Well, so Abram left. Remember, he took all these people with him. And when Abram was 90, God changed his name to Abraham. Abraham means father of many. Okay, who can do math really well? Raise your hand if you're good at math. Yeah, okay. So now Abram is 90, but God told him to come away at 75. How many years difference is that? You're right, 15 years. That's a long time, isn't it? And Abram has been trusting, he's believing, you're going to make a nation out of me. Well, no children, no children, no children, but he believed, he trusted. 15 years later, God changes his name to Abraham, father of many. There's still no children. But when Abraham turned 100, how many years is that? From 75 to 100. That's 25 years, isn't it? 25 years later, God brings that promise to pass. And Abraham and Sarah have a young child, a little boy, and his name is Isaac. How can you make a nation out of one person? How can you make a nation out of one son? Watch, we're going to find out. Well, it turns out that Isaac grows up, and when he is older, and we don't really know how old he was at this time, in the Bible we know that Isaac was old enough to go with his dad and carry the firework on his shoulder. So you know he wasn't a little kid, right? And he also was old enough to be smart enough that when Abraham says, Isaac, we're going to go up and we're going to worship God and we're going to have a sacrifice up there on that mountain. And they don't have a sheep, they don't have a cow, they don't have a goat with them. And Isaac is smart enough, so he's old enough to say to his dad, well, where's the sheep for the sacrifice? So maybe he was your age. Who knows? The two of them went up, and the plan was, God had told Abraham, Abraham, I want you to sacrifice Isaac for me. Now, what would that mean? That would mean that they would take that firewood, they'd build an altar, they would put that firewood there, and Abraham would have to kill Isaac and burn him on that firewood. Do you think that happened? Actually, it was a test. But Abraham was willing to do it because he believed God. And I believe that Abraham believed, you know, you gave me this only son, but I believe what you will do is if he dies, you will bring him back to life. And so he was willing to do it. So he took Isaac up there, and the two of them went up, and he had a knife, and he was ready to kill Isaac because he'd already tied him up and put him on the firewood. Now, you know Isaac wasn't running away, right? So he must be in on the plan. And the two of them are both trusting in God together. But God stopped him and said, Abraham, if you are willing to sacrifice your own son, I know that you believe and trust in me. You know, God had compassion on Isaac. What does that word mean? It sounds really good, but what does it really, really mean? Compassion is when you have really strong feelings of, I feel so sorry for this person who is suffering, and I want to help them get out of their suffering. God had compassion on Abraham because he had no kids. And he helped him get out of that situation because when Isaac was born, Isaac was going to end up having a son as well. More than one, as a matter of fact. And from those kids would come many children. And that's how Abraham was going to be the father of many and live up to his name. God has compassion for us too. He sees us suffering sometimes too, and he wants so badly to help us. We have to trust in him. If you trust in God, no matter what your circumstances, no matter what's going on with you in your life, just like with Abraham, you may have to wait a while. Abraham waited how many years? Yeah, 25. But he trusted God the whole time, and that made it all work out. God will make it work out for you too. And if you're in a tough situation even now, God's working behind the scenes. He's going to make things work out for you because he has compassion for us. Well, it was good talking to you. I hope I see you next week. Bye.